Chapter 15. Dana waved goodbye to Sean as he drove off. At her request, he had turned off his highlights as they approached the house, and she watched as he flicked them back on. Brittany, inside with the babysitter, hadn't yet seen his car, and if Dana had her way, she would never know about it. She still felt uncomfortable in it herself. She couldn't stop thinking of it as Kenny's. And even if she told Brittany it was just a coincidence that Sean had a car just like her daddy's, it was bound to be upsetting for her. Actually, when Dana was inside the car, she didn't think about it. Seats, center armrests, and instrument panel notwithstanding, a car was a car. Only when she approached it from the outside did memories come back, and with them that queasy feeling. Sean, for his part, dealt with the sticky situation by not mentioning it at all. Still, they were progressing nicely. They met for lunch on Wednesday. Tonight at the movies, he'd taken her hand during an inevitable bedroom scene, a scene she found incredibly erotic in spite of knowing that every detail had been carefully orchestrated by a multi-person movie crew, right down to each bead of sweat on the actor's face. Good Lord, she got to the point where even stage sex got her motor running, and she had the uncomfortable feeling that Sean somehow knew she hadn't had an experience since Kenny died. It was all she could do to keep from moaning aloud when he stroked her sensitive palm with the pad of his thumb. When he pulled up almost, but not quite, in front of the house, he kissed her goodnight briefly, but with such intensity Dana found herself thinking about it off and on all day. You know, you could get to be a habit for me, he whispered just before planting a last quick peck on her lips. Inside, Dana found Brittany and Tina, the babysitter, watching Brittany's Titanic tape. The ship was making its final descent into the North Atlantic, a scene Brittany had been at least a dozen times before. Brittany has seen at least a dozen times before. Dana paid Tina and walked her to her home a few doors down. When she returned home, Brittany had changed into her pajamas. "Good night, Mom," she said, giving Dana a hug and kiss before disappearing into her bedroom. In the privacy of her bedroom, Dana removed her clothing, intended to slip on a nightshirt and go to bed. She put in a full day and planned to get up early in the morning to work for CDN. But when she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the mirror over her dresser, she impulsively walked over to it. Then, wanting a better view, she went to the full-length mirror on the back of the bathroom door. She never given much thought to her physique, but no one other than Kenny had known her body since she was 20 years old. Well, 19 years had passed since then. It was time to take a good look, hard look at herself. She tried to be critical as she studied her reflection, but in truth, she saw little to find fault with. Her skin was reasonably smooth, although it didn't have that glow that the models in Essence or Black Elegance, but at least it had no more traces of the mild acne of her younger years. She was maybe 10 pounds heavier than she'd been 15 years ago, not enough to be of any real significance. Her stomach was reasonably flat, if a little soft, and her boobs were still upright, even if they tended to roll toward her armpits when she lay down. But hell, she was pushing 40. If her boobs stuck in the air like two oranges at this stage of the game, that would only mean they weren't real. She turned around. Good, her butt didn't sag. Impetuously, she spread her arms and said, "Ta-da!" like she had just jumped out of a birthday cake at a men's party. Her smile turned into a frown when she saw the thick stubble of hair on her armpits. She lowered one arm and with her fingers explored the growth underneath the other. Not having a man in her life meant she could cut back on the less noticeable aspects of grooming, at least until she started wearing shorts and sleeveless tops or went swimming. All right, she's already gone swimming this season, but in her own pool. But in her own pool. Let me read that again. All right, she'd already gone swimming this season, but in her own pool. Brittany and her friends didn't care about the stubble on their legs, but she had to get rid of this excess hair before offering herself to Sean, including shaping up that jungle between her legs. She still had time. She explained to him weeks ago that she could only go out with him on one weekend night because she wouldn't leave Brittany more than that. He understood. They would probably have lunch together at least once next week, but there would be no actual date before next weekend. Dana didn't particularly care for going out on Friday nights. Combined with work, it made for too long a day. Last weekend when she mentioned her preference for Saturday night to Sean, he said Friday would work better for him. He didn't elaborate, and when he suggested they go out on Friday again this week, she couldn't help wondering what his Saturday night plans were. He's still married, child. One thing for sure, Sean's actions tonight had made it clear that the time for mere hand-holding was over. Dana met Sean for lunch on Wednesday, and it pleased her when he invited her to dinner on Saturday for a change. She recognized the name of the restaurant right away and knew it sat inside a downtown hotel. "That'll work well," she said casually. "Saturday is always much better for me than Friday." She hoped this would begin a new trend for them. At least he'd finally gotten the message. She hadn't brought herself anything new in months. Just because her financial picture looked more promising these days didn't mean she could afford to indulge herself. But she detoured to the mall on her way home and brought some new underwear. Thursday, she slathered her legs with baby oil and ran the razor up and down all of the surfaces until they felt satin. Friday, she treated herself to a professional pedicure. The soles of her feet felt as smooth as cognac. How do you pronounce that word? Cognac going down her throat. No wonder Norrell swore by them. By Saturday, she had only one decision to make: what to wear. Dana didn't want to ask Norrell or Cece because they both been so vocal about their disapproval of the affair. She decided to ask the fashionable Mitchie, but when she didn't see Mitchie bug in the driveway, she scribbled a note on a yellow post-it and left it on her door. With everything under control, Dana sat down and did some transcription for CDN. She checked her watch anxiously. 5 o'clock and no Mitchie. If she didn't return soon, Dana would be on her own, and she desperately wanted a second opinion. She really didn't have anyone else she could ask. Her babysitter's family had gone off to Orlando for the weekend. Her neighbors, Judy and Peter Sidney, were home, but Dana had noticed a definite chill in Judy since Kenny's accident. The way Judy's hand visibly tightened around Peter's arm whenever Dana waved hello told her Judy believed she planned to make a play for her husband. What? Dana didn't understand Judy's change in attitude. She had done nothing to make her neighbor believe that widowhood had turned her into a predator. Some women were just funny that way, she supposed. As Dana was finishing her work, the doorbell rang. She hoped it would be Mitchie, but since it was the front door, in her heart, she knew it was more likely to be Vanessa. Brittany was set to attend a sleepover tonight at Vanessa's. Irene had promised Vanessa a new CD and was bringing her to Coconuts to get it, and their plan included stopping on their way there to pick up Brittany. Now that Brittany's guest had arrived, naturally she was nowhere in sight. She probably couldn't hear the bell over the loud music she played behind the closed bedroom door. Through the sheer panels covering the narrow windows that flanked the front door, Dana recognized the profile of Irene. She opened the door. "Hi there, come on in." They came inside and Dana said to Vanessa, "I think Brittany's in her room. Why don't you go up?" Vanessa promptly disappeared and Dana involuntarily winced at the loud clunking sound the preteen's platform shoes made on her bare living room floor and the stairs. Irene laughed. She's still at that awkward age. Fortunately, our place has wall to wall. Oh, I'm sorry, Dana was embarrassed that Irene had noticed the displeased expression. Can I get you something to drink? Ice water will be fine. They went to the kitchen and Dana had just reached for a glass when she heard knocking on the back door. This had to be Mitchie. Never a dull moment, Dana said to Irene with a smile. Please, sit down. I'll be right back. You're sure you won't have a glass of wine instead? Water is fine, thanks. Irene glanced at her watch. I should tell the girls to hurry. We need to get that CD and be home before the rest of the girls arrive. Do you think you can stay 5 more minutes? Dana asked. She felt she might as well get the opinions of 2 women. As Irene nodded, Dana rushed to the back door where Mitchie stood. You wanted to see me? She said, a strange expression on her face. It reminded Dana of a child who knew she had done wrong and was about to be reprimanded by a parent. How odd, she thought. Yes, can you come in for a minute? I've got company. Sure. Back in the kitchen, Dana introduced Mitchie to Irene, then poured filtered water from the refrigerator dispenser for both women, who sat at the small round table in a corner nook. She sat with them, her palms resting on her thighs. I'm glad both of you are here at the same time. This way I can get 2 opinions. Opinions about what? Irene said. Well, I've got a date tonight. It's kind of a special date, and I wasn't sure what to wear. Mitchie took a long swig of her water. When she put it down, the apprehensive expression was gone, replaced by a wide grin. Ah, a special date. Do you know where you're going? That's the first piece of information you need to be able to dress appropriately. We're going to have dinner at Juliet downtown. You have to forgive me, Dana. I'm not familiar with that, Mitchie said apologetically. That's right. You haven't been in town very long, have you? Juliet's is one of Jacksonville's nicer restaurants, Irene said. My husband and I went there a few times for special occasions. Irene used the term husband versus the correct ex-husband, sent an immediate red flag to Dana's brain. Why? That's her husband. Had her dinner with Gil on Mother's Day gone well? Irene, as usual, hadn't volunteered any information when she came to pick up Vanessa afterwards. Or maybe Irene, a devoted Catholic, just didn't like admitting her divorcee status. Not that Dana ever expected to learn her motives. In all the years she and Irene had known each other, they never once advanced beyond small talk. It's inside the Omni Hotel, Irene added. Oh, Mitchie added. Her knowing glances lingered on Dana. The way Mitchie stretched out a single syllable word into 3 syllables, paired with Irene's not quite suppressed sly smile, made Dana wonder if it was better not to seek their advice. She silently cursed Irene for pointing out the restaurant location, as well as herself for saying it was a special date. She might as well have written her plan actively for the evening across her forehead with lipstick. I'm presuming you're narrowing down the possibilities to a few. I'd be happy to give you my opinion, Irene offered. Actually, I have. Can you bear with me while I run upstairs and get them? Does Brittany know about your date? Dana drew into her breath. Irene had a good point. Brittany didn't know she had plans for the evening. On second thought, maybe it would be better if you guys came upstairs with me. Mitchie drained the rest of her water. Sure. Dana led the way up the 2-part staircase to the master bedroom. On her bed lay 2 outfits. One a peach suit with the above-the-knee pleated skirt paired with the draped white blouse. The other a green and black sleeveless cocktail dress, tea-length with a jaunty sash at the side and matching green shawl. They're both lovely, Irene began, but I think I would go with the suit. I like that blouse with it. It looks soft and feminine, but not businesslike. I've got beige moves to wear with it, Dana said. Definitely better than pumps. You'll fit right in, whether your date wears a suit or a sports coat. I agree, Mitchie said. Besides, if you two get a hotel room, you'll be less conspicuous in the morning in the suit than you would be in that dress. Whoa. Who said anything about getting a room? Dana said. Well, you did say it was a special date. Yes, but not special that way. Dana hoped she sounded convincing, but judging by the skeptical look on Mitchie's face, Dana half expected to see her waiting by the window to see what time she came home. Okay, that's the end of chapter 15. Again, another luck laster. Or what is it, luck laster? Anyway, it was a boring chapter. Unnecessary information. That's all I got. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, y'all. I'm going to keep going. I promise. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to fight this one out. But I'll see y'all in chapter 16. Bye.